just felt, obviously, performance contracting was kind of a new concept here, and I just wanted to show that I've had some experience with those, a couple projects in Rome, and show kind of some different sides to those as we experience them in Rome. So I just kind of, and through this, any questions, please let me know. I was clicking with this. So again, my experience, 35 years in Rome with a bunch of projects, utilize the regular design build normally. In the late the next 2 decades after the 90s, we kind of jumped into the performance contracting. And we had experience with 2 different companies, and I'm just going to call them Company A and Company B for now. Gotta do something. So the first project was pretty much asset renewal. It was in 2009, we had aging infrastructure in need of repair, limited upside on our treatment capacity, we had energy intensive equipment, and we wanted to be proactive instead of reactive in emergency repairs, which costs a lot more than being proactive. Again, it's just the cost of doing business. So the aeration upgrade was the major part of it. We were dealing with the liquid handling side for these upgrades. And we had clarifier work, but the main thing was the aeration upgrade. So we selected Company A, seemed to be very viable in the industry at the time. They already had engineering team A, you'll see a pattern here, on board. So they were already teamed up. We did a lot of legwork, calling municipalities, townships, visiting them, looking at equipment for this upgrade. With performance contracting, we were able to select the equipment we wanted after talking to different places, what didn't work, what did work, and we were able to pick them without going with lowest bidder. The early on analysis showed immediate payback with the installation of this new technology. So we had surface aerators, 10 tanks that had 40 horsepower motors churning 24/7 and churning the water, the activated sludge to create the dissolved oxygen. We were going to diffuse air with membrane diffusers, kind of like what we're looking to do with this project. We have ceramic disc right now, we're looking to replace them with membrane diffusers. What we liked about that is the cleaning aspect. You don't have to use acid, which is very dangerous with individuals. So we were looking, and we had some neighboring townships that use these diffusers, and they were very happy with that, with installation and maintenance. So we went with those diffusers, along with 3 new Turblex blowers to add dissolved oxygen. We went with dissolved oxygen meters, which we do not have currently in Webster, and that's part of the project to control DOs in each tank, gives us greater treatment capacity, and control your blowers at lower levels to save energy. So we had a blower turn down via these sensors. We saw some lower end that we can get to. We actually tweaked it down to these levels, which are levels of dissolved oxygen in the tanks, which were lower than design, and I'll get to those further along. So we also had a cleaning cycling that was automatic. Valves would close, diffusers would relax, they would kick back up again, and it was a cleaning to slough off anything that was going on then. Plus, in these diffusers, there's check valves, the little holes that have the air come out are check valves, and they can get a memory now. So this kind of reset the memories. And sorry, wrong button. So that also, the cleaning schedules that you could do with these membrane diffusers also helps with your treatment capacity. So we saw early on savings with energy, with all of the tweaking of the process plus the changing out of the 40 horsepower motors. We were over 3 million kilowatt hours in energy usage down to less than actually 2, which was a 30% drop in energy usage. So along with that though, and how we were able to tweak the process from the original design at 2 milligrams per liter, we increased our treatment capacity and increased our potential for revenue. So we saw some other savings other than just the energy savings. So along with the treatment capacity increase, we were able to go out, look around the area and bring in more waste. We were averaging prior to this upgrade about 50,000 in septage revenue, and we, by 2013, were up over 200,000 in revenue in just septage. Same with leachate. We were down around 50,000, and we jumped up to around 175,000. So for a total kind of revenue generation of from 124 up to over $500,000, and that was 2013. When I left Rome, we were up over $1 million in revenue in outside waste. So this performance contract, and getting back to that, is they have to verify the savings because they're guaranteeing you this payback on your project, that's what they do, how they guarantee the project. And this was on the energy savings. So they installed an EMON sub-metering system. They came in and took readings off it regularly to verify the savings. We were paying them somewhere around $17,000, $18,000 a year to do that. Then they started having us give them the readings, and we were verifying the savings. We saw the revenue generation, and we were going to meet that guarantee without them having to verify it. So after 3 years, we actually cut them off and eliminated that annual verification because we knew we were going to meet that guarantee. So that project gave us proven energy savings, substantial revenue, and that was a success for us with performance contracting. So fast forward about 7 years, we now need to look at the solids handling side, digesters, thickeners, those types of tanks, pumps. And again, aging infrastructure, no real return on investment for that asset renewal, and limited treatment capacity. And again, we wanted to be proactive and not reactive. Again, cost of doing business, asset renewal. The base project was just the asset renewal, upgrading our digesters, upgrading other sorts of equipment. But we figured, you know what, let's look at some other outside technologies and add revenue generation and energy savings and cost savings to help pay for that base asset project. And again, kind of like what we're looking at with this $20 million and the additional $11 million for this project. So we figured we would add combined heat and power, generate electricity from treating high-strength waste, and install the septage and high-strength waste receiving station to generate revenue, additional revenue. So again, the major component was the digestive complex. We went out and we went back to company A because we had success with them on the first project. But all performance contract companies are not created equal. A lot of them have specialties, a lot of them street lighting, water meters, building envelopes, energy savings, or solids handling. So we didn't know that at the time. We went with company A, and we learned real quick that they weren't cut out for that job. So we let them go. We paid them a small fee that they had done for some investment. And we stumbled upon company B and called them in. And they seemed more fit for the job. They had engineering team B on board with them already. We had already done our research on the equipment we wanted. Again, we could select the equipment we wanted, not lowest bidding, and that was by researching other facilities. And the analysis, original analysis, showed increased treatment capacity, revenue generation, and cost avoidance. We had a 45-year-old digester, no mixing, cover needed replacement, and we had a secondary digester, which was pretty much a holding tank, and we wanted to turn that into a primary digester to increase our capacity. That was 70 years old from the original plant, 45 years old on the cover on that, and no mixing in that. So we were looking at about 1.2 million in treatment capacity for those. We were going to install a new gas holder on the secondary, and that's actually the gas holder that went in Rome. New mixing system, and as we know, the flare has to be moved 50 feet away from any gas source. We installed a new septage receiving station with dual offloading ports, automatic flow measurement to have proper reading of dollars gallons. Enclosed building for odor control. This would pump it to a high-strength waste tank, storage tank, so we could feed our digesters constant feed rates, which digesters like that a lot better than batch feeding, which is what's going on in Webster right now. So company B did a feasibility study, and those goals were pretty robust. They were to diversify its revenue collection through acceptance of high-strength waste, Want to make sure the operational cost savings and generation of electricity will make Rome plant a net zero facility. The required infrastructure would be necessary to keep it operational, meeting all permit obligations, and that future economic growth would be supported by the capabilities of service of the facility. So they came up with 3 options. We could just do asset renewal. Let's just do what we needed to get done, like the $20 million project currently proposed for Webster. Or we could add some organic waste receiving and cogeneration to create electricity. Option 2 would just be to upgrade our 2 digesters, which would create enough kilowatt hours to take the plant off the grid. We also were thinking option 3, throw another digester in there, taking more waste, create enough energy, 800 kilowatts to actually dump it back to the grid and add another revenue stream. So the company B was looking around. We had a lot of options out there. The different waste, for someone to haul it 60 miles somewhere, but maybe 40 us, they might pay 5 cents a gallon instead of 2 cents where they were paying it elsewhere. So what you would need this company to do is to kind of do an analysis and go out and talk to these places. What are they paying now and what are they willing to pay? So the revenue streams range from, if we were taking 20,000 gallons a day with the different rates from 2 cents all the way up to 6, brought in anywhere from $150,000 to $430,000 in revenue. But if we were looking to go all the way big and put the other digester on, we could be taking in 135,000 gallons, and through that pay range of 2 cents to 6, you're anywhere from $950,000 to almost $3 million in revenue. We looked at the average would be about 80,000 gallons at 4 cents a gallon, and we're looking at $1 million in revenue. So that's kind of what we're looking at in the landscape of waste for this digester project. It had the also economic benefits of the combined heat and power installation, which we were looking at microturbines to create electricity, $80,000 for electricity generation, $5,000 for natural gas, supplementing your natural gas usage. But with option 2, there would be no electricity to the grid if we were just upgrading our current digesters. Adding that 3rd digester would have brought in another $100,000 in revenue back to the grid. So those are kind of the economic benefits that we were looking at on all the different options. So this company B went out and did a market study, pretty high-level market study to determine the potential waste out there. And they looked at a 60-mile radius, and they found 30 potential organic waste sources. Talking dairy waste, 5 of them, 7 haulers that haul trapped grease waste from restaurants, dissolved air flotation waste from meat processing facilities. There's 3 food processing, 9 liquid sludges, which are up and down the thruway, back and forth. 2 of them, commercial food waste, and actually airplane de-icing fluid, which is very good fuel for digesters. So back to the performance contracting and what their guarantee would be. It's not energy savings, it's a different project. So they were going to guarantee the high strength waste coming in, which would drive the revenue and the electric generation. So those, what we would look at, what we could load our digesters, if we were doing 2 digesters or 3, and it's a loading factor, say, okay, we can take in 80,000 gallons. So they would guarantee the 80,000 gallons that would drive the revenue and the energy generation. If 20,000 went away because some hauler wanted to go somewhere else, they would have to go out and find that other 20,000 to supplement. That's their guarantee. And on a project like we're looking at, that's where it may be a fit, because that's what's going to drive ours, is the revenue and actually the sludges and stuff like that to bring in. So what happened with that project? Because it didn't quite go totally with performance contract. So October of 2015, that feasibility study was completed, but we had a contested election coming up in 2015 in November. We didn't know which way the election was going to go, or the company didn't. They didn't want to produce their feasibility study to the administration that might not be there at the time. If they lose, new administration coming in January, and we knew that there would be a lot of changes. So January, we hit the ground running with the new administration, met with them, explained the project. The feasibility study was presented. They, in February, put it on hold. And that's because this new mayor did not want to do anything the previous mayor was doing. So there was contention there. No matter if the project was good or not, they weren't doing it. So as we continue to move forward and investigate different things, I brought in a acid whey producer, dairy producer, and we did a pilot project. And I retrofitted one of the tanks to take in the waste to prove what that will do in gas production. And immediate gas production, it tripled. They show there's value to it, there's revenue, there's gas production for electric generation. So this administration decided to go design build, not performance contract. Began construction in 2019, late 19, and it is still going on today. And some of the issues that came up was because it wasn't performance contracting and the proverbial one throat to choke, they're guaranteeing everything. They are the ones that are handling all the contractors underneath. The electrical contractor on this job decided there's a big hospital being put up in United County. And they decided to pull all the guys and put them on that. And left one electrician at the plant to do the job. Well, performance contracting, they would have said either you get everybody back here or we're firing you, we'll hire someone else because they have to get that job done. They're guaranteeing that job. They don't have that with design build. So they're at the, they need that electrician to get back or get someone else or bring in legal action. So that's kind of where that project is at. We saw value in the performance contracting for that. This administration did not. So, any questions?
I've never heard one throat to choke before. That's good. You talked at the first project with the company A.
Yes.
And they were monitoring what the revenues and savings and all of that.
Not the revenues. That was something we found by how we tweaked the system, saw we had excess capacity, so we went out and got the revenue.
For the first project A?
Yes, that was just energy savings.
So they were monitoring guaranteed energy savings.
Guaranteed payback.
What would have happened if they were monitoring that and it wasn't?
They cut a check at the end of it for the difference. That's their guarantee.
But they come in and do an estimate of what they would think the overall project would cost.
Yeah, that's spelled out right at the beginning.
Right, and they're paid based upon the overall project, the
Yeah.
percentage of it, right?
Yeah, that's already,
Yeah, that was one of the questions I had last time when you
Yeah.
were giving a presentation, which I was a little bit skeptical because it's to their advantage. Our estimate is 30 million, 31 million. They come in and look at it, they're going to be paid on a percentage. All of a sudden it goes to 35. That's where I have an issue. The other issue, it's not really an issue, but we had phase one project came in thanks to our under budget. So I have full confidence that he could bring phase two in also under budget. And I'm being honest, I'm very skeptical about this,
Let me, if I can jump into that, John. So they're not completely paid on the side of the project. They're also, they're grabbing some points, if you will, from the engineering firms and so forth.
Right.
And they're paid to drive down that cost, but to make it accurate. So it isn't a percentage right off the top of the project.
I guess I misunderstood.
Yeah, and trust me, I'm still sort of learning about that. That's a question I still have. But the engineers, if they take 10 points, then they might take, they'll negotiate with the engineers, and the engineers may only take 8. So it's not completely cut and dry right off the top.
I think it's a very big point on this is the guarantees of revenues. Because without the guarantee, there's always a possibility you can build it and not experience the revenues. But if they have guarantees, they're going to do the legwork. They're going to make sure that the waste is coming in.
Right. So that to Barry's point, okay, how many years out do they guarantee that revenue is going to come in? They'll subsidize whatever revenue loss. Is it just year one, or is it year 1 through 10?
Well, I think that's where we come in, and we put a price tag on that. Do we want it guaranteed for 10 years? that's gonna cost.
Because
No, I'm
there's
just
a
saying
cost to
that
the
you
guarantee.
weigh,
Yeah.
huh?
Right.
We can't control that cost.
So,
Well, you can absolutely control the cost. The cost is built into a contract and the
yeah,
front
so
end, whatever we negotiate.
But my point is you have to negotiate that cost.
Right.
And that cost could be a lot more than what you might normally cost to do a project.
and you know that up front.
You know that up front, and they would guarantee those revenues. So if the revenues were $100,000 and their cost is 10, you know, if we're not meeting that $100,000 revenue share, then they have to pick up that balance.
So one would assume that they're gonna do their level best to make sure that we're getting that, because they don't wanna pay it out.
Well, absolutely, they're gonna do their due diligence on the area within, I think Rick said, what, normally that's 60 mile radius.
I guarantee.
Well, there's a couple things here. One, we absolutely know that there's $19, $20 million worth of work that has to be done. That's not a question. That has to be done. Along the way through, from 2019 to today, we've discovered technology that can come in and reduce our hauling costs substantially. Anywhere from 50% to 75% to even, possibly even greater. And we know that that's not going to get any better. We're stuck in a position where our hauling costs, we're held hostage. There's only a limited number of landfills that will even take it, and people that will haul it, and they hold all the cards. And it's not going to get any cheaper because some of these landfills are closing. So the ones that are remaining open are they're going to charge you more. I mean, that's their business.
And us hauling it away is not gonna go away.
And waste hauling is not going away.
I don't think anybody on the board questions the fact that we need this new technology, this drying technology.
Yeah,
We're all on the same page.
It's how you wanna
Okay,
deliver the project.
it's the, how, who we want to manage this project. And I said it before, and I'll say it again, I have full faith in our managing this project. We're not paying someone else to come in and, give a percentage based on guarantees.
I have complete faith in Art to bring it in under budget as well, but I really don't have the faith in Art to be able to go out and get all the revenue because he's so busy getting the project in under budget.
You know, and I appreciate.
Please, please
No,
don't take that the wrong
I
way.
appreciate the confidence. It's a big project, and I think there's still some unanswered questions regarding performance contracting. I think Rick helped us understand a little bit from his viewpoint. Personally, I think there's more questions to be answered, and we need to dig deep
Right.
before
I
a
agree.
decision is made.
Yeah, and
At this point, I'm just very skeptical.
no, and tonight's discussion was just for Art to really explain to us what his experience was, which is very helpful. Because the company that did come in when they presented to us, of course, they're trying to sell their service to us. And it was a brand new concept to many of us. So I appreciate your experience with this. I think it's really valuable that we have you here to let us know how it went. Because you have done a couple of projects that way, and you've done a couple that didn't go that way. So it's good for us to hear that. I don't think we're going to be making a decision on whether we're going to do this at all.
I was just hoping there was some value to.
Yes,
Yeah, absolutely.
and I believe that you did, so we'll certainly continue the discussion.
And to your credit, Art, it can be said that the project that is just completed now is maybe the only project that's ever happened down there that came in under budget and on time.
You know, it's a team effort between Rick and I and everybody down at the plant and our engineering partners.
You don't see that very often.
No, everybody did a great job. Yep.
Outstanding work by everyone, especially.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
No.
No. Thank you.
Thank you very
Thanks.
much.